Selenium batch test. So far, we created test cases using independent classes. For every test case, we used one independent class. For this batch test case, we write multiple test cases in a single class. Okay. Now observe. Suppose we already discussed some test cases, planned test cases. Suppose test cases 1. You use these 3 test cases. We have these. Just a minute. Without form, use directly, no problem. Suppose we planned these test cases. Okay. How you create Selenium test batch? For every test case, launch browser, close browser required na?
Yes, sir.
For that, you need to create reusable components. Okay. Suppose first create reusable functions. Using Java user-defined methods. User-defined methods. Next, create test cases. Using the reusable components. Just observe. I will prepare some. Next, you complete remaining. Class. Suppose batch test. Generate main method. Identify the reusable components here. First, launch browser Akila. Launch browser. Public void launch browser. Open and close parenthesis, semicolon. For launch browser, we require 3 steps. We require these 3 steps. Just driver I am using. Declare WebDriver, import Chrome. Declare WebDriver globally. We are going to use WebDriver. In multiple blocks of code.
Static public.
Static WebDriver D capital letter. Import WebDriver library. Okay. Next, use close browser, uh, reusable component for close browser. Suppose close browser. For that single step is enough. Driver dot close. Next, create a reusable function for login. Login just navigation. Verification points we insert in test cases. Suppose admin login. I'm using arguments. Then you can pass data dynamically in test cases. String user. Next, string password. String user, string password. Next, just a minute, we have that script. Driver dot get. Next, driver dot find element by dot name locator value username dot send keys. Oh, just a minute. Dot send keys
User.
Next, password. PWD. Next, click on login button. ID TDB1 dot click. Observe Akila. I want a reusable function for just login general navigation up to login click. Next, remaining statements means verification point. I will add in test case code. Okay, like this.
Okay.
Plan for reusable components. Next, create test cases in main program. Create test cases. First, create object. We created non-static methods. So create object for accessing non-static methods. Our class name is batch test. See batch test. Obj equals to new batch test, open and close parenthesis, semicolon. Next, create first test case. Test case 1. Test case 2. Test case 3, like that. Test case 2, 3. For first test case, obj dot launch browser. Next, obj dot admin login. Here positive valid input temp at 2020. After that, capture the URL and insert verification. See, in that admin login function, we have general navigation only. See, string URL equals to
some test case too, sir.
driver dot get current URL. What is the problem, Akila?
You can copy from test case 2, right, sir? We already wrote these steps.
Test case 2. Just a minute. Otherwise, here also there. Na? Test case 2. What we have in test case 2? String message, not test case 2. Test case 1. Test case 1. Test case 1. Okay. Here driver, just driver. Next at end obj dot close browser. First test case over. Next, second test case. What is second test case? Verify error message na we planned. Verify error message. For this one, just a minute. Use invalid input. A, B, C, D, E, F. Invalid input. Next, second test case code is there. String and here we need to use driver, I think.
Yes.
Driver dot find element by dot class name value message tag error dot get text. Okay. Next, capture that message and here driver dot remove this one. Obj dot close. Here don't use driver for closing browser. Use object. Then we can launch again. Fresh browser for next test case. Third test case, Saurav Ghosh. What is the third test case we planned? Page redirection functionality. For that, obj dot launch browser required. Next, admin successful. This one.
Yes.
Successful admin required. Admin login required. Next, in test case 3, from this one. Here just driver, driver here
Oh,
driver dot find element by dot link text value
online catalog.
online catalog
Dot click.
click. Why it is showing URL, same URL we used in previous test case in the same program. Next, third test case over.
So line 61.
obj
61.
dot, just a minute.
Correct.
obj dot close browser. 61.
URL 2.
Yes. URL 2. 67 URL 3. Okay. Next, suppose just for understanding, this is first test case. Test case 1. It is optional. Last 2 minutes. Test case 2. Next, test case 3. Run this batch test case. First admin login successful. Next, second test case, error message. Next, third test case, redirection. I only completed. Observe, Sarogos, test case 1 passed, test case 2 passed, test case 3 also passed now.
Yes, sir.
We created multiple test cases in a single Java class now.
Yes, sir.
Without testing framework. But in real time, we don't use this concept. In real time, we use testing framework. Now, assignment also I completed Sorogos.
Yes.
One assignment to you. We created page object model and batch testing. You mix these two. Can you mix these two? Can you
I
mix
will
means?
try, sir.
Here we are creating this batch test case without object repository na?
Yes.
Without object repository. You use form for batch test. Earlier you asked na, we are creating multiple test cases in multiple classes, multiple Java classes. Now I created multiple test cases in a single Java class, but I didn't use page object model. You use page object model for batch test case. See. Assignment. Create a Selenium test batch. You know how to create Selenium test batch. using reusable functions, you can easily create. Create a Selenium test batch using POM, page object model. Getting?
Yes, sir.
Now I am going to close the today's session. Any queries? First,
Okay, sir.
Akila.
Sir, writing code, it is easy, sir, but when I'm writing code, I'm getting a lot of.
Okay, you practice more. If you find any difficulty, then tomorrow
Sir,
you can ask me.
Just Java code, it is running fine, but when I'm using this Selenium only, it is throwing a lot of issues, syntax.
Suppose tomorrow you show your errors in class, then we can identify that one.
Okay, sir.
What about you, Saurav Ghosh? Any queries?
No, no, sir. Good.
Okay. We will meet tomorrow, same time. Thank you.